Episode 234 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Mark Tsigounis from Hibear Outdoors, brought to you this month by Mountain Hardwear. Mountain Hardwear has been making high-performance gear and apparel for years. If you're a mountaineering enthusiast, outdoor athlete, or simply inspired by the outdoor lifestyle, check out their new arrivals today. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/mountainhardwarenew and get something nice for yourself. That's theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/mountainhardwarenew. Welcome back to the Outdoor Biz Podcast, everyone. Today's guest loves hugs, trees, hugging trees. He's an Appalachian Trail thru hiker, two-time Ironman, ultra runner, Navy veteran, and founder of Hibear Outdoors, Mark Tsigounis. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rick. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great to be chatting with us. So it's been a couple years or a year and a half or so since we chatted at the OR, right?
Yeah. OR 2019.
Yeah.
That was my first outdoor retailer show.
Cool.
And completely eye-opening. And if anybody's in the industry and you haven't gone yet, you need to go. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. And you were just kind of walking around. You had a sample, just getting feedback and stuff. How did all that go? Obviously, you got a lot of positive activity. So here you are.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like I was almost like pirating the show, right? Because I didn't have a booth.
Right.
I kind of like went rogue, and I plopped down like next to the cafe downstairs and just trying to show what we had created to as many people as possible.
Right, cool. That's awesome. And how did you get introduced to the outdoors? I mean, you did a lot of stuff in the Navy, I'm sure, but what was your first outdoor experience like?
Well, I grew up in New Jersey, and I don't think most people think of New Jersey as being an outdoor hub.
Right.
But most people think of like, Exit 10 Elizabeth and, all the refineries out there,
Yep.
The second city to New York. But North Jersey is actually, a lot of New Jersey is a pretty beautiful place. And we have 80 miles of the Appalachian Trail that run through there. And so my dad used to bring me out there. And it was, when you're a young kid, it's hard to wrap your head around that this trail actually goes from Georgia to Maine. And you're like, wait, so you're telling me if I keep going north, I'm going to go like all the way up almost to Canada?
Right.
So I think that always resonated with me.
And what made you want to hike the trail?
I think that too much time in a desk job when you're really, free-spirited individual, these ideas that were planted in your mind start to grow roots. And, I think that's just something I couldn't get out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think it was in 2014, my desk job just started wearing on me, and it was just time for a change. And that was kind of like the rebirth, right? So, I wanted to leave my desk job.
What was the desk job?
I worked in finance.
Okay.
For 12 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have an impressive adventure background. Was that the inspiration? Was just to hang up the desk job and go play, or did you grow up, doing some other things with the family? Yeah,
I mean, I grew up doing a lot of time in the Jersey Shore, and my dad brought me camping a few times, but always like. I never really loved, video games. I used to always just play Manhunt in the neighborhood, and just all that, just get into trouble outside. So just ride my bike everywhere for sure.
And where did the idea for an adventure flask come from?
I think
don't give away any secrets. Just
Yeah. When you're a thru hiker on the Appalachian Trail, you're used to just carrying everything on your back. And you learn that the stuff that does more are the things that you value a lot more than the other things in your pack.
Multi-purpose, right? Yeah,
multi-purpose stuff. And then I spent some time in Africa, and I got an insulated bottle. And so, like, when it's 115 degrees outside, it's pretty amazing that you can have ice cold water all day. And I had no idea that this thing existed.
Right.
And then I had an Amazon business for a little bit, and kind of the writing was on the wall that, I needed to start my own brand. And, I kind of lived by coffee, right? So just always working and lived by coffee. And so originally it was, kind of a French press. And then we're like, well, this is kind of boring. An insulated French press, let's like do something a lot cooler. So we came up with this idea, this concept of one flask, 7 interchangeable tops. And we did a bunch of 3D printing. And we get all these parts. It was like 140 parts that we got delivered to us, and we're like, this is totally not going to work.
Wow.
For a lot of different reasons. I mean, can you imagine just having this mechanism in your backpack and how much space that would actually take up? It's not rational. So we kind of like took the summer and really thought about what it is, what we were trying to do with the 7 interchangeable tops. And so we took the best of all that, integrated into one just beautifully designed flask. And I think there was like this aha moment, and I'm walking down the beach with my father. My father goes, I think it would be really cool if you took that shaker top and you just turned it upside down, and then you could do like coffee with it. And I was like, Dad, that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the focal point in which we designed everything else around once we figured out that one design feature.
Well, yeah, it's like the Swiss Army knife of flasks. I mean, it's a cocktail shaker, it's a coffee maker, it keeps your water cold. It's really cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
So take us through how the product actually came to life. You had to do a number of iterations, I guess, right? 3D printing and whatnot. What was that process like?
Yeah, so after we more or less figured out what the design was going to look like, and we had our rendering, and I think a lot of creators, they might kind of stop and they're like, okay, we need to go out and we need to fund this on Kickstarter. And I think that was kind of like what the case was in the early days, right? Where it was just like, all right, got this concept, let's show this rendering and let's sell it.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of folks spend a lot of money on a first round of samples, end up being the 10th round of samples, and all of a sudden, you could have saved a ton if you'd have done more design and more 3D printing and maybe just parts and pieces like you did. That's smart.
Yeah, exactly. And so a lot of those iterations have taken us a long time to try to figure out, like, you're obsessing over every little, quarter of a millimeter on this and stuff that the end user will never, ever know.
Right.
But, at the end of the day, it's just, you just want that to just be part of their experience. And
did you
have
you have a 3D printer there or someone local? How did you get that done?
So it's just a combination of different companies. Like Shapeways is a decent company where you can just upload your SolidWorks files and they'll send you the parts.
Oh, gotcha.
But there's 3D printing is a little bit difficult, like in terms of just getting everything to work together.
Yeah.
Versus once you get to beyond that, and you're prototyping, to work with a manufacturer that has prototyping abilities before you move into sampling is really valuable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to get all that right before you get to that step. Otherwise, you're just spending money.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And how did you find your factories? Did you go on Alibaba, or what was that process like?
It was like a combination of everything. It was like the mishmash. So it was like sourcing agents. It was.
Oh, wow.
Going into town and talking to manufacturers there that would, help you also find, so like another type of sourcing agent.
Mm-hmm.
I went on Alibaba. And so we had come up with this, portfolio of different manufacturers. And we ended up going with the one that I actually found on Alibaba for a number of different reasons. And number one is that they had the most amount of experience. They had the largest factory.
Yeah.
And the pricing was about middle of the road, but all those different factors played into why we chose to select them. Now, if I had to kind of do it over, I would definitely use our quality assurance company to help do the sourcing as well. Just because they're a lot more boots on ground. They're a lot more familiar with like the different areas where manufacturing gets done.
Yeah. And they probably have a really dialed in process of QC and the production once it's done. And because that's a whole nother thing. So you mentioned going into town. Did you go into Reno? I mean, where did you go look for? Is there people in Reno that do this?
Yeah. There's a company in Reno. Yeah. It's A1 Manufacturing.
Oh, I just did not know that. So I really love how the whole thing functions and works together. Did you come up with the ideas yourself? Obviously, your dad, came up with the idea of flipping it over and doing coffee. But was there just a bunch of family and friends, or where did the ideas come from?
Yeah, so it definitely culminated out of the French press. But in terms of coming together with all the people, I don't have a SolidWorks background. I'm not an industrial engineer. Mm-hmm. My background's in finance. So we have a industrial design firm called TAC Collective out of Slovenia, and they just do amazing, beautiful work. To the point where we collaborated for about a year and a half. Wow. On this new design, and just trying to work through all that functionality. And at the end of the day, all our efforts have been validated. This year, we were awarded a Red Dot Award in product design.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's exciting. Yeah. And how about mentors? Who have been some of your mentors in the development of Hibear?
So Hibear, we're attached to a incubator. Okay. That's Startup Envy in Reno, and it's like a portfolio of coaches and mentors that are experts in their own silo that I can just lean on for just trying to expedite the process of getting Hibear from ideation to market.
Awesome, that's great, cool.
Yeah.
Any other personal mentors? Your dad, uncle, brother?
Well, 100% my dad, of course. Yeah. I mean, dude's brilliant. So
yeah, cool, yeah. We're going to take a little break and give some love to our episode sponsor, Fiverr. When I'm looking for graphic design or SEO help or a social media scheduler, I go to Fiverr. They have a variety of options and services available and never disappoint. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/Fiverr and get inspired to do more with some of the best work delivered by the Fiverr pros. That's theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/Fiverr. Fiverr is Fiverr. Back to the show. And you must be outside all the time. Tell us about a couple of your favorite activities outdoors.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason that I live in North Lake Tahoe in a town called Truckee, and the trail running around here is absolutely amazing. There's a race once a year called the Castle Peak 100K, and it's kind of like the greatest hits album of like just trail running in Truckee. It goes through Prosser, it goes through obviously Castle Peak, and then there's a section called the Palisades where there's like rope set up, and so it's it's a course, and you're almost like mountain climbing, like over that shale rock or the decomposing granite. If anybody is into running, it's probably one of the best kept secrets in running around.
We'll link to that in the show notes for all you runners out there. Go do it.
Yeah.
And there's another one that goes around the lake. Isn't there Tahoe Rim Trail? Doesn't they have a race around?
Yes. Yeah. Another fantastic running club. The running clubs around here are really, really good, really supportive, and they know how to run a good race. It might have something to do with a little race called Western States also that goes out of Squaw Valley. So,
yeah.
My wife actually, she works for Squaw, and so I do try to spend a lot of time there when we're open. Mainly alpine, but I do like Squaw quite a bit, and a lot of good backcountry around here as well.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, you're down in Bishop, so you probably get out too.
Yeah, that's great. It's Eastern Sierra is top to bottom. It's a pretty amazing spot. We're lucky.
Yeah, very lucky.
And what other outdoor activities do you participate in? You must ski living up there.
I'm getting better at skiing.
Okay.
But I'm more of a snowboarder.
Gotcha. Okay.
But this year I've skied more than I have in my entire life.
Wow.
So yeah, I really try to make a commitment to when I'm getting out to the resorts to ski a lot more. But snowboarding is kind of like where I built my outdoor base. I started snowboarding when I was like 12 years old, and in North Jersey, so there are mountains there with really, really good snowmaking.
I was about to say, when you were 12 years old, where did you do that?
Yeah, right, exactly. The Kinnatitty Mountains of New Jersey.
Never heard of them. That's funny. Do you get out and backpack at all? Do you need long trips, long backpacks?
Yeah. So I was a thru hiker on the Appalachian Trail,
and
had the opportunity to hike from Georgia to Maine. I mean, it's.
Do you have any plans to do the PCT?
Someday,
Yeah,
someday
right.
we'll triple crown.
Yeah, cool.
PCT and CDT.
Yeah,
It's such a beautiful thing to know that the PCT runs through the town where I currently live.
right.
To live next to a long trail, being a thru hiker myself, and driving through downtown Truckee to see the backpackers and doing resupply in Truckee. So
we see them in Bishop
cool
right around March, April. Yep, they start dropping in to resupply and get rides to the next spot, whatever. A couple years ago, we had a bunch of snow, and all the streams were really, really high. So people were bouncing up and doing another part of it, and coming back. And when the streams had calmed down, it was interesting. A lot of piecemeal stuff. Yeah. Do you have any suggestions or advice for folks either wanting to get into the outdoor adventure biz or start a company like you did?
So I would say that if young folks are trying to get into the industry, that they should, number one, read your book, because it's the best way to get a sampling of so many different experts from all different walks of life on the outdoor industry. From my perspective, I came in as an enthusiast, with a business background. But if I was a younger person trying to get in, I would certainly just say, be a guide, start out as, whitewater rafting or climbing or whatever it is that is your passion, and get into it that way,
Yeah, that's good.
Have some fun with it.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
good. Yeah. And just so everybody knows, that book is Trails to the Top. It's available on Amazon. I have to give a plug there since you brought it up. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I asked that question, because I think it's really, learning from those that have come before you is so important, I think. And there's so many people that, whether they've come on the podcast or just, that's what's great about going to OR. It's just a collection of folks that have started the industry to folks that are brand new, and it's just a great community to belong to. So anything you can do to learn from all those folks that have already been there or are going through it, it's a great way to go. That's good.
Yeah.
And how about some daily routines to maintain your sanity? Meditate, exercise, walk the dog.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to say that I wake up every single morning at like 5:30 a.m., go for the run, and then, meditate, but, things don't always go that way. Ideally, I just had a son, so my son is 6 months years old.
Yeah. Well, that'll change your life.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I don't know. I don't have kids, but I've heard.
Yeah, right. So startup plus 6-month-old. Yeah, it's just everything is on routine here.
Right.
Not at all.
Yeah, cool.
But I try to get out every day to go for a run and meditate for 10 to 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And without that, it's hard to manage all the anxiety and stress of starting a company.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. Yeah. What are some of your favorite podcasts or books you give as gifts?
Podcasts, I would say Waking Up with Sam Harris is a really good listen.
Uh-huh.
And books, I know that the Alchemist gets recommended quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say The Pilgrimage. The Pilgrimage is a fantastic book. If you have any desire to do any sort of long distance hiking or have been a long distance hiker, it's a pilgrimage.
Yeah,
but,
it is. Yeah.
The good takeaway is just to fight the good fight. And when you read the book, you'll understand. So if you're a fan of Palo, then I think you'll appreciate that recommendation. And then the second one that I would say that helped me a lot is The War of Art.
That's a great
we're
book.
that we're all beginners,
Mm-hmm.
and that we need to focus in on curiosity to cultivate excellence.
And just keep going, because there's going to be all kinds of stuff getting thrown at you in your way. Just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think, especially from my perspective, as like, more or less, starting out as, an outsider in the outdoor industry, but remembering that, we're all beginners in this world and we're all on a journey. And, just as long as we're learning and trying to be better, and that we're part of a greater community. And I think that's one of the great things about the outdoor industry is that we're, for the most part, we're so very much aligned.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're very much ahead of the curve amongst all industries within our and environmental and social agendas. And it's amazing. And it makes me so proud that I can be a part of this, especially with Hibear Outdoors.
Yeah, cool. Good for you. How about your favorite outdoor gear purchase under $100?
I really like everyday carry. That's part of the all-day adventure flask is to have a flask that you can have from dawn patrol to campfire. So obviously I would recommend everybody have an all-day adventure flask part of their everyday carry. But for me, my last purchase was just like a fanny pack, or like this man purse that I got, that, I have my knife, my pen, my notebook, and then I can clip my flask on there as well. But yeah.
For when the inspiration strikes you for the next product.
Exactly.
I'm not going to ask you what the next product is, because I'm sure I don't want you to give away any secrets, but hopefully there's something coming. That'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
If you could have a huge banner at the entrance to the OR show, what would it say?
I would really like to say hug someone today on the outside, but it's definitely not situationally appropriate for the times.
Not right
Maybe,
now.
Not right now. But I would say just be generous today. Do something for someone and expect nothing. And because something like that has a multiplier effect, and it's infectious.
I love it. Yeah. Especially these days, it's important right now, I think.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think so.
As we wrap up, is there anything else you want to say or ask of our listeners?
Just stay curious, fight the good fight, and keep creating. It's a very divisive world right now, and we all just need to be part of the solution. And I think that the second thing is that invite somebody for tea. The last few months we've been conditioned to isolate ourselves, and we need an excuse to break out. So.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. We same thing here. I was going out. I was telling you earlier before we hit the record button, going out to the river with a beer every afternoon and just chilling out, and that turned into a COVID happy hour. So now there's a few people that go out there and sit around. We distance our chairs, and some people even bring food now, but now it's kind of evolved into this thing. So that's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah. And
where can people find you if they want to follow up? Email, Twitter?
So you can email me at mark@hibearoutdoors.com. I'm on mainly on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Okay.
You can find the All Day Adventure Flask on hibearoutdoors.com. We're coming to Kickstarter early September.
Oh, exciting.
And we're really, really excited about that. And our page is beautiful. We've worked with some amazing people.
Yeah, it looks great.
That have very, very great talents from graphic design, industrial design.
Yeah.
PR, Julie Bacon of Hot Skillet Media has done an amazing job helping out with our marketing campaign as well.
Yeah, you got a good team. You're rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll link to all that in the show notes so everybody can find it. And I look forward to catching up after its launch. We'll be sure and we'll check back in maybe after Kickstarter and do maybe a quick episode update. That'd be fun.
Sounds good.
Cool. Well, thanks,
good,
Mark. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, pleasure's mine.
All right, take it easy.
You too.
Bye. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to go to the outdoorbizpodcast.com where you find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Until next time, be sure to make time to get outside.